get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It, Restoration.
Ruel, how you doing?
I'm good, Lonnie. How are you?
Not too bad.
All right.
How's your world going?
It's been busy, but it's good.
Yeah.
The sun is shining. The wind is blowing, and I'm waiting for furniture. How about you?
Waiting for furniture to be delivered. Okay. No, I'm finally caught up for a minute. I'm finally caught up on a pretty massive, well, not massive, but complicated mold job that just won't end. It should have ended 1 to 2 weeks ago.
How is Seattle? If you can talk.
It was actually kind of horrible. I mean, the surprise was great. We had a good time. We saw the sights, but Seattle doesn't really offer a lot of like sightseeing stuff in our downtown area. It's just like Macy's and whatever. And then the hotel kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And they gave that we had 2 full-size beds and that's fine. But at the same time, we're not used to a full size. We're used to a queen or a king. And then when the air was kicked on, we would be a little cold. So we'd kind of cuddle and huddle up, And then when the air would kick off, we would get sticky and sweaty and push each other away. And, and so we toss and turn. And then I'm 2 hours mentally, biologically, I'm waking up at 2 a.m. their time because I get up at 4 and 4 to 5 a.m. So I'm still waking up, but I'm looking at the clock. It's like 2 a.m. And then Thursday night, the sleep sucked because you know how when you got to catch a early flight and you're waking up every hour thinking you're oversleeping, freaking out, and then, it's only 1. Okay, I'm good. And then you wake up at 2:30. It's like, wow. And then I did that. And then Sunday night, I was supposed to got to the airport 2 hours early like I was supposed to. And then my flight got delayed for like 2 hours. It was I was supposed to get on the plane at like 3:30ish Seattle time, your time.
Yeah.
And and then it was like delayed. And I had like a 42-minute layover swap plane out in Denver. And, I was supposed to land at 11 p.m. my time in mid-Missouri. And then, 2 hours late. And then I'm sitting there scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And they're like, well, you can still get on the plane and just spend the night in Denver and then get on the plane in Denver tomorrow night at 8 p.m. and keep your schedule just 24 hours later. I'm like, no, I need to be at work tomorrow. And then, so it turned out that, I kind of red eye that ran 45 minutes late, but I'm getting on the plane at midnight Pacific time and land in Chicago at 5:30ish Central time. And then I had a 3-hour layover and had to go through TSA because I was switching airlines. And it was a nightmare. I didn't land in Jeff City until like almost 11 o'clock Monday morning. I should have been at work at 7 or 8.
And it was just you. You didn't have the rest of the family.
No, my wife was on a business meeting thing from Thursday to Monday.
Yeah.
And I worked it out with my in-laws to keep the girls Thursday night through Sunday night and totally surprised my wife and, knocked on her hotel room. I was working with people from Oklahoma to get ball tickets to the Mariners game and stuff like that. So there was like, 5 or 6 people that knew that I was coming and they were helping corral her because she was like already talking, well, what are we doing for lunch? And they're like, well, we're not out of the meeting yet because they knew I was laying in at 9:40 Friday morning and needed to get to the hotel and all that jazz. And then they hooked me up with her room number and I just took the elevator up and knocked on the door and said, housekeeping. And she's like, can you come back in an hour? So then I pounded on the door harder. I'm like, housekeeping, do you need pillow fluffed? and then she opened the door and she was excited and cried a little just, because she knows I'm actually terrified of flying.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't like flying and stuff like that, but no, it was a good surprise. And we had dinner and we did the market, and we did I watched the fish get thrown and stuff like that. And we did the Ferris wheel and had a nice dinner Friday night, and did the ball game Saturday night, and then woke up and had, private, time for a little bit Sunday morning, but she had to work for a while, and we met up for lunch, and then I got on the train and showed up to the airport like I was supposed to. And then it, went downhill from there. And then she was back in meetings. I couldn't get a hold of her to kind of talk about which way and how and try to move things around. And then it turned into, by the time she called me back, I had 4 hours to kill. And she's like, we're on a ferry already. She goes, I thought you were, in the sky. So, she's on a ferry somewhere. And, it's like, she's like, man, you could stay here, obviously. But, she was across the sound, and, it was, it was an experience. But we did the Space Needle and the blown glass garden thing with all the exotic colors and twisted globes of glass. I mean, it was really cool.
Very cool. Good for you. Good for her. Good for you guys. So it's not not really a turn down. I mean, if you choose to focus on the stuff.
Yeah, no, it was very positive, and earned a lot of brownie points for a while. And as soon as I landed in Jeff City, I had a bunch of voicemails and drove back to Columbia. I flew out of Columbia. I got a little small regional airport.
Yeah.
And I spent another $120 or $150 to fly out of Columbia, which is like from my door to their airport's like maybe 20 minutes. Okay. And it's free parking and everything. So I learned the drawback to that. If I would have flown out of St. Louis or Kansas City, that are both international airports, there's a flight landing every hour. I could have just bumped back and I would have landed at midnight instead of 11. No big deal. And then we were even looking at that, but I'd have to rent a car and land at whatever time, and then drive 2.5 hours if I could even rent a car at midnight. It's like, wow. But no, it was very positive, and we had a good time, and I loved seeing her, and I liked seeing Seattle, but Seattle's a town that I've been there. I don't need to go back.
Awesome. Glad you guys got a chance to spend time.
Yeah.
That's a good example, folks, of what it takes to keep a marriage going. Congrats.
Yeah. 19 years.
19 years. Oh boy.
April 24th was my 19th wedding anniversary. And I felt bad because we had a calamity of, just when you've been married almost 2 decades, it's like, we just had a refrigerator replaced because the old one died, and finally got it replaced on one day. And then the very next day, like maybe the 20th of April, like our washing machine had just died. So, I was like, and I'd already had it repaired. And the last time it took 10 days to get the part. Well, you got a family of 4. We can't go without a washing machine,
Yeah.
And waiting 10 days and spending another $250 like I did last time. I've already replaced that old washer. Like, I've already replaced it just in repair bills. And it's like, no, we're just going to go get a new washer. And like, oh, there you go. There's $900 real fast. And I said, happy anniversary. And I mean, she's like, yeah, I get it. And I felt bad for, I got her flowers and a washing machine. And so then I kind of woke up one day and it's like, yeah, I'm going to try to see if my in-laws will watch my girls for 4 or 5 days and get them to and from school and handle all the stuff on the home front while I go and pretend like I'm a boyfriend again to my wife. And yeah.
Very cool. On that washing machine, every time it broke down, what seemed to be the problem?
Well, it was a top loader, and it was like the agitator motor thingy coupler thing that agitated the clothes would break. And I'd already done it twice. So, I'd already spent $500 to repair it. And of course it's out of freaking warranty. So it's like, yeah, I'm already $500 into it. Just go get another one. So I got a front loader this time. Woohoo!
How are you liking it?
I love it.
Our last washer, I did a couple of repairs on it, and it was always a board, electronic thing. Just scour the internet for for forums and stuff specific to the model and find out, you know, if other people encounter the same type of stuff. And I'd have to take a chance, you know, based on somebody else's experience. It was this board, not that board. That was the problem. So I'd have to find on the Sears Parts website or some similar site and how I can get that board, and just hope that by replacing it, I wouldn't have wasted my money. So I did that successfully a couple of times. And then when it broke down a third time, I was like, it's more than a board based on the information I've seen, and just, you know, too many self-repairs. It's time to just get something new. And we too got a front loader, and I like it. I mean, there's one thing that bugs me the most about it, but in general, I mean, just happy to have.
And what's that?
There's this, when you open up the front and the bottom of the opening, there's like a rubber material and
rubber gasket. Yes.
Yeah. And
socks get trapped in it.
Well, stuff starts to like a mildew type film that has accumulated. And so, I mean, I think the guide says after you use it, you want to kind of wipe down the inside of the door and the inside to keep a lot of that moisture, you know, out to prevent that sort of buildup. But, you know, we're not going to leave the thing wide open and risk the door getting hit by another door and breaking apart. So, you know, there's that mildew type buildup that happens. Are you finding?
Well, they do have a cleaner for that. But B, they say just leave it cracked.
Yeah.
And you know, just having it cracked will dry that out and take care of that odor.
Oh, okay.
Instead of slamming it shut, just prop it closed and that'll help dry it out. Or just keep it turning and never let it rest.
And the other thing too is like when hair finds its way to the very bottom of that, just a little bit of hair, just leaves enough crack in the gasket, in the seal, so that while it's running and doing a cycle, you know, little by little, some of that water comes out and it kind of drips right below and outside. And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's like, we're never getting front loaders again.
And they're heavy too.
Yeah, I'm just
and they're heavy.
I had the delivery guy do the removal and the setup of the.
Well, I had to do my own, and because I went literally in at 6:30 in the morning, and you know, it's like I have to have this today. And I did ask about. I'm at the age and the income level that yes, I pay for delivery. I don't want to jack with, you know, doorways and scraping and all that. You know, it's like, no, the $20 to $100 that they will charge, well worth it. You break your back and you haul my old crap off, worth it.
Yeah, that's the big thing too. If I did it myself, what am I gonna do with the old stuff? I'm gonna put it out on the side.
Exactly.
Sign that says free.
Oh, and it would have been gone in 10 minutes, I promise you. But yeah, the way mine went down, like I needed it now. And we were already kind of behind just based on hectic lifestyle, you know. We're like, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. Well, it died, you know. And so, yeah, delivery was like a week and a half out. I'm like, oh, I got to have this. So I went to the office, grabbed my box truck and a dolly. And, man, that thing's heavy.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to load it up on the dolly from the side. And they're like, oh, no. You need to – or no, I was trying to do it from the back. And they're like, no, you need to do it from the side. That's how it goes in a lot easier. I'm like, are you sure? Because I got a pretty narrow doorway. And they're like, oh, no, trust me. You know, I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get it down at the bottom of my walkout stairs of my basement, and it's stuck, literally stuck.
Oh, no.
Couldn't go forward. And it was so heavy, I couldn't pull it out. And then I had to go back to work, grab one of the employees, and like, here, you got to come to my house. And so we pulled it up out of the stairwell, tiny, tight stairwell, pulled it out, and and then swapped it around like I was trying to do originally, and then just walked right in. It's like, yeah, I should have just stuck to what I knew.
Yeah, when
then we hooked it up, kicked it on, and left.
Sweet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when the guys come over to do the deliveries and the pickup for stuff like that, you know, I really appreciate what they do. I mean, because I can only imagine they're doing tons of that stuff, throughout the week.
Oh, day in and day out. Could you imagine?
With the straps and the stuff. And I'm always out offering like a drink or something, at least,
sure.
for it. And I can see it in their face.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today, Ruel?
So here we are. I guess we should say I'm Ruel and you're the professional, Lonnie.
And I'm Lonnie Beecham.
Yeah. And
with the Service Guys podcast.
Yes. So can you say it again? This is the what?
Service Guys podcast.
So a podcast designed for folks interested in the service guys world, right?
Right.
And I'm going to quote you, creating friends one disaster at a time. I love that one.
You must listen and hang on to every word I say.
I'm taking notes. When you say service guys, you're talking about, can you list out some things that fall under that realm? Sure.
All the service guys that, service your HVAC, the plumbers, the drywallers, the pest control guys, even delivery guys. We all have crazy stories, and everybody's always, whenever we go out to eat with friends or whatever, and everybody's like, so what are you seeing this week? And, I always have one story that, tops the last story I told, and it literally just happened yesterday, or like today. I had one of the scariest crawl space issues for mold, and it's like, wow, I'm glad that one's over.
Ooh, okay.
And I just thought we'd kind of talk about what a service guy, be it, whichever trade they're in, just, their crazy war stories or funny stories or just the crazy stuff that we see every day, and stuff that we see and we don't think much about it, but it's, everybody's always kind of curious, and they're always interested in what I do in a day. And, I'm curious to learn about other trades that I don't know a whole lot about, and their day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. So it would be cool, eventually to have, other service guys on the podcast, join in on the fun and talk war stories, as you put it. So how about we make part of this episode sort of a mold episode? Sure. Yeah.
I'm wrapping one up. I just wrapped one up today. I'm waiting on. I had a post test. See, when you have a mold situation in your home, Ruel, attorneys don't like us to do the air testing and the tape samples and that sort of thing. So we have to get a third party person to come in. And guy came in a couple months ago. I was talking to this lady's situation was what it was, and it's like, oh, it's X number of dollars to take care of your mold. So then, so as we're working, we move in on a Wednesday, and we have to, set up the containment and all the proper air pressures and negative air and all this stuff. And so we start in the laundry room where where it's really bad. And then, we had to move into the crawl space. And, I looked at this crawl space like 2 months earlier, and everything was fine. But then whenever I'm crawling down there, the day that we had to pull some insulation out and, set up my containment for the crawl space, I start crawling across plastic, and notice it felt like a waterbed. And so the further I go, I was still crawling. So I'm wearing my suits, I'm wearing my mask, I got gloves on, chemical gloves even, because crawl spaces, you can run into sewage, you can run into dead animals, you can even run into live animals that don't like you coming into their home. So I'm wearing all my personal protective equipment, otherwise known as PPE. So I start crawling in to go to the bad spot. And the further I was crawling, it was getting wetter and wetter. And eventually I just put my hand down on this plastic tarp that's laying there, and it was like a waterbed. Turns out I should have been done with this mold job 2 weeks ago, but it turns out that it was raw sewage in this lady's crawl space. And this crawl space is so tight that I'm literally crawling with my back against the floor joist. I mean, I'm on my hands and knees, but I'm trying to avoid the floor joists, but I'm crawling and I'm bumping into it, and it's dark and there's no light, and all I got is a flashlight because I was trying to get to a plug in my lights to light up the whole crawl space. Yeah, lo and behold, there's raw sewage in this crawl space. And so I just made the executive decision. I was like, okay, boys, we're done for the day. And they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, there's raw sewage down there, and who wants to crawl in raw poop? It was nasty. So I crawled out, and I wish I would have known. I would have had you in there. So I crawl out and I go talk to the homeowner. I'm like, so here's our situation. You have raw sewage in your crawl space, and to make it even more complicated, there's a vapor barrier, plastic sheet on top of the water. So somebody has to get in there and pump it out. And so she was calling everybody to get this pumped out, and all those guys were sending them back to me to take care of it. Well, the crazy thing is I had, her property line is like 3 feet off of her neighbor's adjoining driveway and yard and stuff. And I said, I can't, I have sump pumps. I mean, I can pump it, but it needs to be clean water. Nobody's, how would you like it if your neighbors are pumping raw sewage into your driveway? You wouldn't be too happy. I'm like, no, you need a pumper truck. And so we had to get guys in there to do that. Nobody could get out for like 4 or 5 days. And then when they got there, that was more than they thought. It was nasty. Toilet paper and food scraps from the garbage disposal, and everything's down there, and it smells to high heaven. It was nasty. And so then the guy comes out. He goes, I'll be there on Saturday. We started this on a Wednesday. He said, I can't get there until Saturday. Fine. Okay, whatever. So then he comes out. Well, he didn't bring a big enough truck, and he couldn't get back until the following Saturday. So I had to put this whole job on hold and waiting for him to come pump the sewage out of the basement, out of the crawl space. And so that finally happened over the weekend while I was in Seattle. I had guys in there pumping sewage out of this crawl space, and I was supposed to be in there Monday morning taking care of everything. And so I finally got in there today to do that. And so we went in there and sprayed everything out with our hydrogen peroxide, and then wiped everything down and vacuumed off everything, and all is well at this point. So I'm waiting on I'm waiting on an air test from yesterday. I won't find out till about 11:30 tomorrow if I did my job right or not. And if I did my job right, then I go back in tomorrow and tear down all the containment, pull out all the air scrubbers and HEPA filters and all the stuff that I have sitting in there, and put her doors back on, set her washer and dryer back in the house, and collect a check and go home. If I get dirty results, then I gotta go back through that area and duplicate all my efforts and clean everything again and check out my containment and see where the gaps and the leaks are and do it again. And then I get to pay for the secondary post test, which only happens 5% of the time.
So for this homeowner, how did they know that they needed someone to address mold? How does that happen?
Well, they had been neglecting a laundry. They had a leak in their laundry room for 25 years. And so that they said, I should have fixed this years ago, but I didn't. But now I'm getting sick, and they're like, we got sinus infections all the time and respiratory ailments, and we're just sick all the time. And that's what clued them into, getting a mold test done. And then sure enough, it comes back really elevated and kind of off the charts high. And then so I come in and told them a price to fix it. And I was bidding against a couple other firms, and she connected with me better than the others. And my price was better. So it's easier to like me when my price is better. And here we are.
Wow. Mold and then the discovery of sewage. Ugh. Let me.
Oh, and termites. This place was also, once we started peeling back the layers of flooring and vinyl and the wood subfloor and stuff, we noticed, after 25 years, and I anticipated this to some extent, but the floors, I don't know what was holding them up. I really don't. I know they were sitting on a concrete slab, but once we peeled back the layers and got behind the plaster and the drywall and stuff that was there, it was so termite infested that the 2x4 framing was coming out in handfuls.
Wow.
And then once we opened up the floor, the rot and the termite damage was coming out. Literally, I was taking a dustpan to scoop up the wood flooring. Well, they call it not wood flooring. They call them sleepers, but it's basically 2x4 standing up is what these were, 2x6s that were standing up, and then they laid plywood over it, and then they put vinyl and baseboards and all that jazz in there. And yeah, so we literally, once we peeled it back, there was only 3 boards that were solid, and we tore those out, took a Sawzall, cut everything else that was rotted, cut it out, and then all the termite damage was coming out in handfuls and a little bit more than we anticipated, but that's every mold job.
Wow, and it's finally done. You know what? Hey Lonnie, I have to peek out the door because my furniture might be on delivery. Can you hold?
Sure.
Or you could you could vamp if you like.
I can vamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check out your delivery guys, and if you need to call me back, then we can do this after they get in the door if you need to.
No, just hold on. It'll be fine. Just hold on, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
In case anybody's wondering how Ruel and I know each other, we met years ago on a Facebook group, and he's now my computer IT guy, and we're admins of a large internationally known Facebook group, and we moderate 22,000 people in a group, and over just talking to each other online, we started developing a friendship. And Ruel has another podcast or two, and I've worked with him on those and been on his other podcast, Ruel's Running. We've done that a few times, and we've become good friends. He's in San Francisco area. I'm in Jefferson City, Missouri. And yeah, we've become good friends online, and we chat all the time. He now is an admin of my Facebook group, and he helps me with my website and design and SEO stuff that I don't know anything about. And yeah, we just developed a friendship, and we talk all the time. And here we are talking about service guys and tradesmen that have their stories in their day, and hoping to learn a lot and spread the good stories, and because we all have stories. In my fire restoration days when I was with an international franchise, you see everything when you have a fire. It just we get in every nook and cranny of the house to track down the smoke, and we find everything shoved in. We find all the hidey holes if you're in the fire restoration business, because that's where all the smoke will go to. So that's what prompted this. I've been thinking about doing this for probably 10 years, because every day I think I've seen something, the craziest story yet, and then I come home like, "Hon, you won't believe what I just saw today," or what somebody asked me, or what somebody requested of me. I had a job one time doing some water damage, and the house was flooded, and the lady was such a neat freak that she actually asked me and the crew to take our shoes off at the door so we could, take care of the water damage that was on our hardwood floors. And I had to tell her straight up, "Man, we can't do that. OSHA does not allow us to be barefoot on a job site. We got nails and punctures and trip hazards and electric shock, and you just name it. We can't work barefooted." And man, she threw a fit, but she finally understood whenever I said, "No, I'm not having 6 guys take their shoes off at the door and put them back on every time we're walking in and out. It's all getting ripped out anyway, so what's it matter? And besides that, we're in the carpet cleaning business. So if we track mud in, we could come clean your carpets on us and get you taken care of. So
cool. I'm back. I caught tail end.
You're back. How long you been back?
Just maybe I heard
Gotcha.
I caught you when you're talking about the lady asking you.
Right. That was very nice lady, but boy, was she meticulous with her house.
Cool.
So wait till you hear how I vamped.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna go in, and if I caused any damage.
Gotcha. I think I covered for you. So is your delivery there?
It is. It's just stuff that I have to. Yeah. Yeah, we're working on trying to make the backyard as pretty as before it starts to get horrible out to spend time outside. So I hung lights up last weekend, nice chairs and cushions, and I fired the grill up, and so we got more things to make it more nice and neat for a little bit for a short time of the year.
Sure.
So
yeah, when my girls were younger, I always wanted to have one of those play set things, swing sets and stuff in the backyard for them, but I never had the money or the time to put them together. Now that I have the time and the money, they're 14 and 12 years old, so they're not out on slides and clubhouses and swinging and stuff like they should be. But just funny how life works like that.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. But that's now the work is on my end to put it all together, and I really like putting stuff together. It's a huge contrast from what I do on my day job.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know how you sit at a computer all day.
Yeah, I gotta stand, and then I gotta listen to music, then I gotta take care of business, take a break, and go. Which is why I'm fascinated by the stuff that you get. You put yourself out there, you crawl in spaces, you tear stuff up, you put stuff in.
Yeah, within 30 minutes of landing on Monday from Seattle, one of the voicemails I had was somebody had a dead. They didn't know what it was. Turned out it was a dead squirrel, and it was in a soffit area of their kitchen. And within 30 minutes, I was driving right back to the same town I just landed in, and had to come home and unload my luggage and grab my ladders and borescopes and infrared cameras and moisture meters and all my saws and all that stuff. And went in and pulled out a dead squirrel.
Was this a call from the homeowner or the building owner, or was it one of your friends from the control world?
No, this one was a lead from my pest control company that sends me dead animal calls. And just the timing was just perfect, because I wasn't about to go crawl in a crawl space when I was, dead tired and on, jet lagged and everything else. I was like, yeah, I'll go pull a dead squirrel out of your ceiling, no problem. And worked out, and we were successful. And I sent a picture to you, or I put it on your Facebook page, and
it's a cute little thing.
And it was boy, was it stiff, and then was it stinky. Oh man. And the funny thing is, I told the based on what I had put together, and here's a fancy word for you, deduced. Based on, some educated decisions, I said, I need to cut a hole right here. And the homeowner's like, well, I think, why don't you try over here? I said, well, okay, but if I cut right there, I don't think it's right there. And B, now you got to patch a hole on a bigger section of your ceiling. Now you got to paint all your ceiling. And so I cut the hole right where he wanted it, and pulled out some insulation, and the smell was emanating from the area where I wanted to cut at originally. And he goes, no, I think it's one floor joist over. I said, well, okay. So I cut another hole in his ceiling and pulled out the insulation. And I said, no, the smell's still coming from over there. And he goes, yeah, I think you might be right. And then I went over and I cut a hole in the soffit area of the, I don't know do you know what a soffit is in a house?
No, I'm still trying to process deduced.
A soffit is usually you see them a lot in basements, or you see them above your upper cabinets in a lot of homes. And it's usually where like plumbing and HVAC ductwork is running and stuff like that. Or some people will call it a bulkhead. And So bulkhead, soffit, whatever you want to call it.
I think I know what you're
anyway,
talking
if I took a picture, you would know exactly you've seen it a million times, whether you know the name or not.
Basically, the cabinets are tucked right under that spot. It's not.
Yes, there's like a lot of times there's a 1 or 2 foot area that goes from the top of your cabinet to your ceiling. Well, what that's doing is hiding wires and plumbing and ventilation and stuff like that. So, but this one was kind of in the middle of the room, and sure enough, I went and I cut a hole. I was off by, like 8 inches, but it was, I cut the hole in just the right spot. I poked my head up in the soffit. I saw it. I do, get startled whenever you poke your head up into a tight space and you see this dead animal right there. I was like, oh, there it is. Got a little startled and guy laughed at me a little bit and I just stuck my hand back up there, pulled it out. He was stiff as a board, threw it in a Ziploc bag and collected a check and went home.
So before you grabbed it and yanked it out, did you know that it was a squirrel, or did the homeowner know it was a squirrel?
No, we rarely know what they are ahead of time. This one they'd been smelling the smell for, I think he said 6 weeks or so, and it wasn't going away. So that usually tells me it's bigger than a mouse. But not really. I mean, dead mice in a cavity can take 2 or 3 months to make the smell go away. And obviously as it gets warmer and more humid and stuff, then the smells really come out. So no, I literally cut a hole not knowing if it was a mouse, a squirrel, possum, a raccoon, a cat. I mean, I don't know what else. I pulled chipmunks out of places. But I cut a hole and pulled them out, threw them in a Ziploc, collected a check, drove home, threw it in the dumpster. No big deal.
Oh, so this was in a case where after you remove the dead animal and stick it in a bag or something, you don't have to treat the area that it was at? Or?
Oh, well, yeah, I do that. I mean, I guess you don't know what I do, but yeah, whenever I find the dead critters, I got a solution that I spray on it that immediately takes care of any odors or bacteria or viruses that are associated with the dead critter, and sprayed it down and I do get some satisfaction that if the homeowner would just listen to me, he'd only have one hole to patch on the drywall and a little area that's about 5 feet wide by 10 feet long to paint. Now he has to, the kitchen area is probably, 15 by 20. So now he has to patch 3 holes and paint all that area. But when the homeowners, no, I think it's over here. It's like, well, what do you do? Yeah. You're paying a professional to take care of you. The professional's telling you it's, 4 feet that away. And they're like, no, cut it here. Whatever. It's, it's your drywall repair, not mine.
So that's a good segue into, before we wrap up, maybe we need to think about providing some sort of, on each episode, a maintenance tip.
Sure.
Would you call that a maintenance tip? Don't listen to your professional. Otherwise, you've got 2 or 3 holes to patch.
Yes, that's a good one. But we talked about both mold and we talked about dead animals today. So my maintenance tips are, yes, by all means, listen to the professional that has a much better clue in knowing where to, begin looking. And if it's water damage, any small leak, make sure you get a small leak fixed, no matter how small. Get it fixed and get it dried out before it turns into a mold problem with raw sewage in the crawl space. And if it's a dead animal, make sure you have all your outside soffit vents and all your entry points outside taken care of and covered properly, and prevent these situations.
Awesome. There you go.
And then ultimately listen to the professional that you're paying for advice.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave a little crack on the front load washer as well to help minimize that odor that builds up.
There you go. There you go.
Wow. Look at that. We just did a podcast.
Yeah. And this is stuff I just deal with and talk about, and I just know in my head, and I don't always slow down and share everything that's in my head. Just another day to me. Stuff I know, I assume everybody knows.
Just another day for Lonnie, and folks like me who aren't in the business get to learn something and hopefully live better. And to close,
this is Lonnie Beecham with Restore It Restoration, and get your life back to normal.